It being 7 o'clock, we'll call the December meeting of the Shrewsbury Township Board of Supervisors to order. We'll introduce the members. Bill Cox is on medical leave. You want to down the line here? Cynthia?
Cynthia Dillian.
Jeff.
And we're joined by Todd, our Todd manager, our solicitor, our clerk, or secretary. And this is being taped. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I indicated this meeting is being taped and will be on our website within a reasonable period of time for those of you who don't get enough tonight, so you can go back and review it again. Also, if anybody wants to video anything, they have to come up and let us know they're videoing this meeting in addition to what we have here. If you are recording meetings, you have to announce ahead of time. And finally, when you address the board, we respectfully ask you to come up and use the microphone. Give us your full name and address, please. I want to announce at this time, there was an executive session held on November the 16th regarding a personnel matter. Okay. Approval of minutes of our regular meeting on November the 4th.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted by the staff without any corrections.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Second. Discussion?
We need the amendments.
All right. We have an impasse here.
Just call for it.
Well, I want to make sure we
Just
discuss
a point
it.
of clarification, are you talking about as initially presented or with Sue's
You
edits?
said-
As initially presented by the staff without any
Okay,
amendments.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All right. There have been a few changes, made not many, a couple sentences. I'll call for the vote.
No.
No. You vote.
Next.
I said no.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's all right.
Yes.
Yes.
In the meeting, the vote fails on. Like a second, on a second motion, read the minutes.
I'll make a motion as amended. We accept them as amended.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Yes?
If I
Sure.
get a clarification, the very last sentence.
Yeah, you can put more on in there.
Okay, thank you. I just want, you had a question mark there, if there's going to be a quote, we need a word.
Oh, okay.
No problem.
All right, well, we have a second.
As amended.
You
Yes.
voted yes. Yes.
No.
No.
I think so. Minutes are not being passed, they'll be revisited at our meeting in January. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Treasury report for November of this year. You've a copy in your pack. Is there a motion to approve the minutes or the Treasury report rather?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, passes. Now, item number 6 is public comment. You can come in on any matter that your heart desires, up to 5 minutes. It could be extended if necessary. Anybody wish to say anything to the board or to the audience? See no hands up, we'll move on. Well, under ordinances and resolutions, ordinance 215-07, a floodplain ordinance that was in our pack as a draft during our November meeting. I think Todd, you gave an overview that it would not alter any of our existing regulations, and this is required by state law.
Correct, this is in addition to anything that we have in our zoning ordinance. And this is actually required by federal law, and it needs to be approved and adopted by December 16th, or the township property owners are not eligible to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to enact, has been advertised,
Yes.
duly advertised.
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we enact orders number 215-07, floodplain ordinance.
One second.
Is it- Okay, any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Under subdivision and land development, so I do want to review those older subdivision, regulating subdivision,
The Pritz Auto Body is down here in the corner of the trail on Commerce Drive. As you can see, that's been around for a while. Their big problem was getting their NPDES and stormwater approvals. That has finally come through, but they're ready to get the paperwork and the documentation. And so our 3-month extension has expired, so the board, I'm asking to give them an additional 3-month extension to meet all these outstanding items. And I think I attached a copy of letter from, because that property is partially in Shrewsbury Township and partially in Springfield. They're approving the plan as well, and they granted an extension of the conditional approvals as well.
now, thank you for that. Now, the second item under subdivision and land development, reapprovals is Tolan Road Venture.
Should we vote on this one?
No, I was going to vote on both
Oh,
of
at the same time?
them together, if we can.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's the same, basically.
Same
Yeah, it's the
thing,
same thing. There's a couple outstanding items. In that one, we're probably going to be seeing again, because the initial plan was approved, showing the existing electric line that runs over, I believe, 2 of the lots being relocated as underground services. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, so we'll have to have a revised plan showing the existing electric lines and the easement for those, so.
Would it be easier to extend them longer than 3 months?
Well, the thing is, when the board approves, where the 3 months comes into play, is we have to put the date on the plan when the board approved it. And the plan has to be recorded within 90 days at the Recorder of Deeds office. So even if we grant 6 months,
But they can come in and get approved before that, if they get their stuff together, right?
yeah, I guess what I'm saying is if we do the 3 months, and they come in 1 month or 2 months, staff can process it and get it recorded. If you approve it for 4 months, 6 months, or what have you, it's going to have to come back to the board then for reapproval, because the date that we put on the plan is the reapproval date by the board. And that can't be older than 90 days in order to be recorded. Recorder of Deeds won't process it.
No?
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. If there are any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve both the Pritz Auto Body and Tolan Road Venture for a 3-month extension.
So moved.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Turn the page here. Reports. Number 1 on the reports is the manager's report. Todd?
Just a couple of things to highlight. Armstrong Cable, if you recall, it's been on the reports for quite a while, trying to get high-speed internet service for the businesses on the east side of 83 around Caprice Court and so forth. We sent 2 letters, one in June, one in September, not having a response. So last week, I guess it was, I emailed those letters to their legal department, and I did get a call from them this afternoon. I had a voice message. I wasn't at my desk to talk to them. So it has captured their attention, so hopefully we can get that moving along and get that off the report. Rose Road, we finally had the permit issued. Mike has ordered the material that's been approved by DEP to replace that pipe. So when that material arrives, they'll get that replaced. The Comcast franchise fee audit. We did not receive the address list yet, but I was updated by Mr. Cohen, the attorney, that they received their first set of questions and they were answered by Comcast, and they generated a second set, and they sent those back, so they're waiting for the response to the second set, and then they'll contact us with a report at that time.
Would you explain, it's been a while since we started this.
Okay.
Can you explain that we initiated an agreement with them?
Yeah, we're part of a consortium. I believe it might be 8 or 9 municipalities in York County have all joined together to utilize the services of the Cohen Law Group out of Pittsburgh. And they specialize in communications and franchise agreements and so forth. And they actually, if you remember, they negotiated our contract with Comcast, and we were part of a consortium then, I believe it was 11 York County municipalities. And what this franchise fee audit is for them to actually go in and get a report of all the revenues and what the customers are receiving, just to verify that we're receiving the proper amount of revenue from the fees, the franchise fees. Their record has been about 80% of their clients across Pennsylvania over the past 3 years, I believe they've been doing this, have seen significant increases in their franchise fees. So
The question is whether the increase is going to be sufficient to cover the fees that they charge.
well, actually, yeah. Well, actually, I'm trying to think what our, I think it was 4,500 was our share, yeah, right around there. But,
We'll see.
yeah. I just know that when we renewed our contract where we have now, there was more language in there to cover additional services, but we hardly saw any kind of increase. So I suspect that we'll probably see something to at least cover our costs in the first year.
Yes, thank you.
And then the only other thing is, Paul, you had asked last month about the GIS.
Yeah,
And I did
you gave us a report.
So these are all the different layers and projects that we have on the existing GIS system. And then these are some that we'd like to follow through on. With development rights, with call boxes, parks and open space. Working with Mike to document and inventory all of our bridges and culverts. Mike McLean, our maintenance supervisor, yes. A roads inventory, which is a component of the GIS system through CS Davidson. So those are just some of the items. I knew that was raised last month.
And that is that's a total list, and when they get through with that feature, that's all, that's what our contract calls for.
Well, we're on a per hour basis, so we don't have an actual contract.
All right.
Now, in 3-4 years, if we'll add something, it's highly possible, but I don't know at this point. GIS is one of those things, in order for it to be functional, you need to keep it current and updated.
Where is that situated? Here and up at the engineer's office? Where was this?
Yeah, it's we have it here at the office, and it's a live. It's not set up, and I don't know if they have the capabilities of doing that. They're looking to do that, but at this point in time, we can't make it available to the public because it's not locked and secured. So it would require a password, and anyone can go in and make changes. So.
I understand, but is that something?
But it is available to review here.
That's an important thing. Tony Bob, do you have any words of wisdom or any reports to give us here today?
I do not, thank you, I did not submit to them.
That means our fee won't be as high as this one, right?
That's accurate.
There's no feedback.
Did you want me to address the sewer?
Yes, excuse me, I apologize for that, yeah. Sites and sewer, go give us a...
Yeah, just 2 quick things to point out. The James Martin property, 3027 Shady Court, which has been vacant for about 3.5, going on 4 years. That was sold at sheriff's sale. The bank bought the property back, and the bank actually made a request to the township for what those outstanding fees are to have the lien released. So we did invoice them. So I'm hopeful and optimistic that in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we may see a check.
That was quite a bit of money too, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're looking at just a little over $24,000. And then the other thing is, Mr. Amsbacher religiously calls me every month to let me know that he's still looking for a buyer for the property at 12.07.15 Baltimore Street. And he's looking just for the amount to cover all the liens, which are approximately $24,000.
Well, I'm glad you're happy. So well-trained and because of the month.
So if anybody wants a house for 24,000, give them a call, right?
Yeah,
That's basically it, right?
exactly.
Okay, item number D on the reports. Zoning officer, code enforcement, you have a copy of the report in your package. Any questions or comments from Todd regarding to that? Moving on, maintenance, you have an abbreviated report there regarding what they did this past month. Next report will be the engineer's report. He has a one-page report in here, just highlighting his work for the month, most of which involves subdivision review. Planning commission, that report is also in here. Actually, it's a copy. Let's see what we have now. No, there is no copy. There wasn't a report. They didn't meet this past month. Yeah. There is no report. So we have no report, so don't look for it anymore, Paul. Next item under our agenda, item number 10, supervisor comments. And we'll keep the people here on the board itself. I want to mention a couple of things. Bill Cox had a double lung transplant, which is not an easy situation for anyone. And he's doing, as I understand it, very well. He's with his mom in Taos right now, recovering. Have we heard anything from him in recent days?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up later, but he actually called into the office this afternoon. He sounds very good. He said breathing, he feels really well. But you know, when you're laying on your back for 3 weeks, it takes a lot out of your, you get deconditioned rather quickly. So he said other than feeling weak and needing to build his strength back up, and them getting the meds under control, he said he's feeling well. And he asked me to say hello to everyone, and he thanked everyone for their well wishes.
Thank you. And you'll advise him that we express our wish that he has a complete and speedy recovery.
Yes. And because he called to let me know he wouldn't be here tonight, which I think was soon. But he's optimistic and hoping he can make it next month. And if not, he said if he's feeling up to it, he may try to join through a conference call.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to old business.
I have something real quick.
Sure, go right ahead.
Just comments. At the end of last month's meeting, Paul, you made a statement that we were going into an executive session after the meeting adjourned. I just want the record to reflect that as soon as you made that statement, myself and Jeff and I were headed into the room to have our executive session, and it was in regards to our manager's employment contract and his basically his review. For the last 2 years, Paul, being the chairman, has not been a part of our township manager's review. For the last 3 years, Sue Fox has not been part of our manager's review. And I was just appalled that he led the public to believe that we're going to have this executive session, which he had no desire, for whatever reason, to come to this meeting. And basically, Jeff and I sat there for 10 minutes. Paul and Sue left the building, so we went home. We did have an executive session in November in regards to an employee, and at that time, Jeff and I finished off the paperwork, and we did do his review. So I just want the record to reflect that myself and Jeff did do the review, and we did note on there that Sue and Paul refused to be part of it, and obviously Bill Cox couldn't be a part of it at that time.
Well, thank you, that's it.
Not a problem.
You have everybody informed.
Absolutely.
I don't know what my exact words were, but I think what I wanted to have said was that they're in the executive session scheduled following our regular meeting. I did not believe it indicated that I was going to be attending.
Just my understanding is being the chairman.
He didn't call
I think it's your,
He didn't call the meeting.
well, first of all, we're
It's his
supposed to have
job to
this.
call the
And it's your
meeting.
job to be there.
No.
As part of the
Sue.
chairman, to be a part of this, and not just 1 year, but 2 years not to be a part of this.
You're trying
What's,
to pick a fight with them.
I'm just stating a fact.
Well,
It's not picking a fight, but 2 years, I mean, this man's done one hell of a job for this township. And the fact that you couldn't be there 2 years in a row with no excuse, just, I'm not gonna be here.
really?
That's outrageous. Outrageous. You should be ashamed of yourself, Paul. I know, I didn't expect you to comment.
Well, I mean, what's there to say? Okay, let's move on.
There's nothing to say. You're an embarrassment.
Okay. Now, let's see, where are we?
Green culvert.
Under item number 11, old business, stream culvert. You want to go through all that, stream culvert, stormwater drainage, your water company, Forest Lakes,
Sure.
properties.
Yeah, I can do that. First item regarding the stormwater culvert, 2026 Windy Hill Road. We were contacted prior to the meeting, and then one of the meetings we had a resident present. Down at the intersection of Deer Creek and Windy Hill Road, I understand was the old train station property. There is a stream that runs through the front yard, and a few decades ago, they put a stone wall up and then they put a concrete slab on top of it. That stone wall, it's a dry wall, it's not cemented or anything, has started to collapse at certain places. So there's some holes going down into the ground, and it doesn't look very stable to me. I had sent a letter and or an email to the bank, one to the law firm that handled the repossession, which of course has nothing to do with the property at this point, the listing real estate agent, and verified that it's outside of the railroad right-of-way. And then the township filed a formal complaint with DEP. I had, at the request of DEP, I'd sent some photos up to them. At that time, they told me that they had not come down to look at it at that point. I also had notification from the realtor that he was contacted by the bank and that they were directed to contact a contractor to get an estimate to make repairs. Since that time, the real estate sign has come down, and I did speak to the realtor, and he informed me that the bank pulled the listing from their real estate company because, according to the realtor, they were not acting fast enough to get a price to get this work done. And then I also followed up with another email to DEP and told them that, you know, we didn't find that satisfactory, that they didn't think there was a problem. And they did respond actually today. And basically what they said, they reviewed the information, they were on site, they did an inspection. I don't know what they call a collapse, but there's areas of it that are collapsed and laying in the stream or washed away. But they're saying that their determination is that the structure is not currently collapsed nor in imminent danger thereof. And I personally, and I'm not an engineer, but I don't think it takes much to figure that out. But nonetheless, they're not going to take any steps at this time to compel corrective action. However, they will be notifying the bank to make them aware of their maintenance obligations under the regulations of DEP. And they're also willing to work with the owner or prospective buyers, and they note in here that they already have received one call from a potential buyer finding out what they can do. And I did have a call from 2 potential buyers. I gave them DEP's contact information, so apparently one of them did follow up with it. So we'll just have to keep this on the radar. It's still under bank ownership, and obviously they know it needs to be addressed.
Were you advised the gentleman across the road? Was
Yes.
most concerned about this, of that status?
Yes.
And you consult with our attorney Bob, on this as to what our options are, if any?
Yes.
Well, would we take any action to move this along quicker, or we threaten them with any legal action? It's not on the township property.
No, it's all private property. And I'm not aware of any local ordinances that we have.
And DEP just said it wasn't collapsed,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Well,
yeah, I mean,
Well, I don't know what else we can do. Attorney Bob, can you give us any advice on just do what we're currently doing?
I can take a look at it with time, but it seems to me from what I've heard so far that your alternatives are pretty limited.
All right, we'll spend a few minutes with Todd and just go over it, review it, and see if there's something we can think of to do that would move this along. Thank you. All right, Todd.
Okay, next item regarding Glenview Road, the stormwater issue at the Chandler property.
Yeah.
Since that additional work was done by Mike, we had a little bit of rain, but nothing of significance. And I had an email with Mr. Chandler on the 18th and asking him if there's been anything noticeable to him. And he said we'll need to wait for some heavier rain and that they'll keep us posted.
Could you spend 30 seconds and summarize the
Yeah, this was a property owner that's on the corner of Pine Street and Glenview Road, just outside of Glen Rock Borough. Water comes down Glenview Road, where Pine Street is. We had the curb build up. Water used to run down Pine and then down Ronald Street. That buildup was pushing more of it out onto Pine Street. And when we had the heavy gutter washers, it was jumping the curb, running down his driveway, which is a downgrade to his garage. And so we removed some of that asphalt there at that intersection. It was allowing more water to divert into Pine Avenue, which he did say was making some difference, but just not quite enough. So we removed some additional asphalt. So we're waiting on another heavy rain to determine whether that'll address the problem.
Thank you. Your water company slash...
Yeah, this is just informational, just to bring you up to date. Up there on the wall, you can see this is the trail here, and this is Strawberry Fields. I'll call it east. Forest Lakes is over in this area, and then the west here. York Water had a public meeting. There are approximately 50 people here representing 30 properties. The meeting lasted about an hour and a half. Lots of good questions. And they need, I believe they sent out 125, I believe it's around 120 properties or so. And they need 60 commitments before they'll move forward. And I believe they're giving them until the first week of January to reply with the commitment. And then York Water will make a determination at that time.
What's our involvement?
There is none at this point, unless if the project moves forward, the only involvement we'll have is issuing permits and inspecting that the streets are
The
restored.
street cuts and all, yeah. Thank you. All right, moving on to Forest Lakes.
Next one is, I had updated the board a couple of times. I had mentioned that there was one outstanding item for the engineer to come out to shoot the grades for, I believe DEP needed those at the spillways. Those prices have all come in, so you have the total cost there of $35,744.20.
And we had postponed doing any work on those roads in Forest Lakes until this project was complete. And so we put off that until it was complete. And so a lot of that money would have been spent initially in any case. Any questions about that project? But that's the extent of our cost.
Yes, that project is completed now. Yes.
Finally, Stewart Properties.
Yeah, last meeting, if you recall, I reported that Shrewsbury Sewer Authority denied Stewart Properties in the township's request to transfer 10 EDUs. And I had followed up with an email to the borough, and then they sent along a copy of their minutes as well. But based on their email, the sewer authority is doing a sewer capacity study on the lines that would have served that property in that area, and they don't want to allow any additional EDUs until that study is completed.
Did the project, I believe it was some sort of medical center that Stewart Properties wanted to do?
The project fell through.
That fell through. And then they asked for an additional EDU for a smaller user, and the Shrewsbury Borough didn't grant that either.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. On to new business.
We have the 2016 budget. We had our budget meeting on October 30th. And also at our December our November meeting, the board discussed it briefly and then authorized it to be advertised for public inspection. Legal ad was in the newspaper on November 9th. It was posted on the township website on November 5th, and it was available for public inspection in the township office. I don't know if anyone looked at it online, but we did not have anyone visit the office. So we have what the revenues, expenditures, and the fund balance is projected to be for December 31 of 16. So with that said, if there's any questions, we'll need the board to vote to approve the 2016 budget.
All right, there's some items we have reviewed the budget, it's been advertised. But if we have a new board coming on next year, they can reopen the budget in any
That is
case.
correct, in January.
And also, like, I think there's a 3% salary increase proposed in the.
That's for budgeting purposes only. There's been no decisions made by the board,
Okay,
whether it be
I understand that.
zero or
I
one.
just wonder how,
Yeah.
so we can fit that number in? I mean, it's for budget purposes
It's
only.
already in the budget.
Yeah, it's in the
That
budget.
number's in the budget already.
All right. It's in the existing budget.
This one right here.
Well, the one that's proposed.
That you're
Okay,
gonna
okay,
get rid of.
that's proposed. But can that number be changed?
Yes.
It can be changed, but it's a budget, so you
You
don't,
have to reopen the budget.
I know, but without reopening the budget, that's my point.
No. If you
not
reopen it
without
tonight.
reopening it. If you want to reopen it, fine.
If it
And
passes
again, it's a
tonight.
budget, doesn't mean you have to go with any of it.
No, I understand.
If it passes tonight, you have to reopen it. If it doesn't.
I understand, Sue.
Okay. That's all.
I'm, don't you about my patience sometimes. Anyway, moving on. Resolution number 2.
We'll need a vote.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the budget as advertised?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
3 ayes. Resolution number 2015-10, setting a real estate, fire, and hydrant tax.
I think the hydrant tax
Yeah,
is not
actually,
part of this,
That's
is it?
correct, and that's not part of the resolution. That was when
Just the other
I
two
drafted
taxes.
the agenda and should have removed that, and I did not. So it's only the real estate and the fire tax. Real estate will remain at .074 mils, and the fire tax will remain at .34 mils. Neither of those changed.
I'll make a motion we approve those 2 taxes. That is the real estate tax, the general real estate tax, and the fire tax.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Aye.
Development right transfer.
Nope.
Oh, we didn't, I voted.
I voted.
I
Aye.
voted.
No, you didn't
You
say aye.
you didn't say
You
aye.
didn't say aye, so I'll wait for you to vote. Aye.
Aye, that's pardon me. I was so anticipating your other votes, I didn't vote myself. So there's 3 ayes.
Four.
You voted aye on this side. 4 ayes, all right, moving on. Development right transfer. Holloway, that's the gentleman's name. On Spruce Road.
Holloway? Yes.
Holloway.
It's Holloway and Dunn Management. Let's see here. Just to give you an idea, the Holloway property is here on Spruce Road, and he has one development right that he's going to be selling and transferring to the property here on Campbell Road. That's just been sold. I believe it was the parish farm. Is that correct?
Former Charles Perry Senior Farm. That sale went through?
Yes.
Okay, well, we need a vote to transfer that right.
They get 2 for 1 over there, correct?
Yes. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the
this transfer.
motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Yes. Item number D under 12, park improvements.
Yeah, if you recall, last year, this is for the improvements at Haintown Park, Windy Hill Park, as well as Winchester Park. The bids, if you recall, came in about 80% higher than the budget, but we were outbidding later in the year. So we're looking to re-advertise those projects with the bids going out January 6th. Received the bids the end of January, the 27th. Hopefully we have an acceptable bid that the board would approve and award a bid at the February 3rd meeting with construction then March, April, May, June, and July. I'm sorry, June. March through June. Wrapped up on July 1st. So just need authorization for that to be advertised for bid requests.
How many bid requests you think you're gonna send out?
Well, last time I think we had 5 that were, because they have to pay for the bid packets. I think we had 5 that were picked up, but we only received the 1. But was not a surprise to our consultant, Ann Yost, because she was seeing as time was going on that they were getting fewer and fewer bids, and simply because the contractors were very busy. They did not need to work at that time. So, but the one bid that we did receive, the bidder did acknowledge, we opened the bid, I believe it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that he forgot about it until that morning, and he said he threw it together, and that he did.
But you'll forward this to every competent firm within the area that...
Yeah, Ann's very familiar with all the contractors, she reaches out to all of them.
Enough said, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Has a question.
Sure.
I understand that these are 3 projects and they're all being bid as one. Is that right?
Well, they're going out under one bid, that's correct. Yeah, but it's 3 separate
Don't
projects.
you think you might have more success getting bids if you broke them apart?
Our consultant, who's done this for quite a while, has found that to be the opposite, because none of the 3 projects are large projects.
Well,
And
that's my point. That there are contractors maybe that can.
But even as 3 projects together, it's not a big project. It's not a big project, because what's happening, are you familiar with Winchester Park? Down by the Glen Rock project? I mean, it's small, what is it, 1/4 of an acre? It has a basketball court, some play equipment, and picnic tables, and a walking path. Very small, just a community park. At Haintown, we're just going to be making handicap accessibility, ramps to the playground, and improving the walking areas, putting in some bleachers for the soccer field, and a walking path out there, and a piece of new play equipment. And then at Windy Hill Park, again, we're going to be putting in some walking paths, some bleachers, 2 small playgrounds with 2 or 3 pieces of equipment in each. And the biggest thing there is building a retaining wall for one of the ball fields that'll actually be like stadium seating, so 2 rows of seating. That also serves as a retaining wall. So even the 3 projects together, it's not a large project.
Didn't you say that the bid you got last year was well over $1 million?
No, it was 500,000.
It was excessive, though. Your point's well made. It was just a...
There's a
Yeah,
small
our total budget is 300,000. And the contractor who came in, like I said, he came in with the bid, and he said, I totally forgot this, and I threw it together this morning. So I don't think his pencil was very sharp. Other than he thought if he was going to get it, he was going to make it high.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Thanks for your...
But the other thing is, when you have 3 different bids, then you're looking at 3 separate sets of bid documents, and that gets into additional costs, and 3 different sets of plans, and that all starts adding up as well.
No, it's not totally wrong, but we did get a grant for about half the
Correct.
cost.
Half of it is grant money.
That doesn't negate your question, it's just, I'm just pointing that out, that helps in any case, but a lot of our playground equipment was at such a point in time that it was risky and dangerous, and we realized we needed to make some updates there too.
I think it is a good point, though, if you have a contractor, and I know I didn't have a huge company, but as a contractor, I wouldn't want all 3 jobs at one time. when a rainy day or a little bit gloomy that I couldn't do other jobs, I would take on one of those projects. But to be able to bid out for all three and then fall behind, I think it's valid what you're saying.
And there are small contractors in this
As
area.
yourself, yes,
That maybe a $300,000 job is a big job,
it's too big. Mhm.
but they can do the job really well.
But when I say 300,000, you know, that includes playground equipment, which is probably 30–40% of the project. I don't know if you ever priced any of those monstrous jungle gyms, they can be $20–30,000 a piece, you know, so it's not a lot of, you know, earth moving and building, really.
Okay, good, just
Yeah, that's a good question.
concern to me.
Yeah.
This is, we always encourage questions. And so we have people here with different backgrounds and expertise, so don't be afraid to jump in and join the discussion. Always helpful. Thank you, Ed. Now, we have to make a motion
To authorize that.
I'll make a motion that we authorize that the bids be submitted or mailed out, advertised.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
No.
Next item has to do with this is a grant, Exelon Habitat Improvement Grant. You want to bring everybody up to date? We had a discussion on Tuesday on this.
Now, feel free to jump in, but this is, if you recall, we applied for this earlier in the year. This is the Exelon Habitat Improvement Grant, which is to help improve the Chesapeake Bay water quality. And York County Conservation District is administering the program. And I'm trying to remember the numbers, at $150,000 or $250,000 a year that they'll be receiving for, I believe, the next 10 years. And so York County Conservation District is accepting the grant applications. Along with DEP, they're doing the evaluation and they make awards. The project priorities under best management practices are forested stream buffers, along with wetlands creation, and then under ag programs, it's the forested stream buffers and the wetlands creation. So regardless of whether it's private, public sector, that's where their priority is. Some other ones that they also will consider are riparian buffer maintenance, stream restoration and maintenance, in-stream habitat improvements and maintenance, and then under the ag best management practices, barnyards, pastures, fields, and stream restoration. So we had applied for a grant to do some retrofits of stormwater basins as well as making some improvements to the wetlands on the east side of 83 along 851 in front of Cracker Barrel. Part of that's in Springfield Township, part of it's in Hopewell Township.
Parts at
Hopewell.
Parts at Hopewell, parts at Shrewsbury.
Correct, yes, yeah. And so anyway, we applied, what we applied for did not fall under their priority criteria, which they had just identified after the last round of grants. So what we're looking to do is to resubmit a grant application, which is due January 1st, but focusing on the wetland area, just making some improvements in that area. But we'll have to talk to Hopewell Township as well. We do have money budgeted for the project along with engineering for 2016. So that would fall in line with what those budget funds are.
I'll just add one thing. There's a huge culvert under 83, you can walk through it. And all the water from Walmart Shopping Center and Sawville and all those impervious surfaces comes right there. So it's all captured at that one point. And of course, when we get a heavy storm, and particularly when it's warm, all that warm water comes into Deer Creek, which is a cold water fishery, and has a tremendous negative impact. So between Wolf Road and the culvert under 83, it's a wide area in there, and we're thinking about maybe deflecting some of that, the first part of that water that comes through that shopping center into some constructed wetlands and infiltrate it or somehow spread it but it doesn't have that big impact on that stream. And also, while we're doing that, beautify that area by planting with trees and so on and so on. So that's an overview of the project. That stream flows about almost a mile east along 851, and then goes under 851 where Windy Hill comes out. And then from there on down, it's all pretty much open land, trees, woods, fields. So this is the only real critical area, and we need to do something there. If we get a grant, it'll help us. Any questions or comments? All right, moving along. Yeah, well, this is already, what we want us to make a motion on that?
Well, let's
We've already agreed.
budget it, but I suggest that you do a motion to authorize the
All
engineer to
right,
prepare the grant application.
we'll entertain a motion to approve the submittal of a grant under the X1 program.
Did you make a motion? You gonna make a motion?
That's a motion, all right? We'll say
I'll
it.
second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Item F under 12, stormwater agreements. We have,
These are for two new
Two.
homes. Okay, go ahead.
item-
The engineer has reviewed the stormwater plans and finds them acceptable, and this is always the last step where the property owner enters into an agreement with the township to maintain the stormwater facilities.
pretty straightforward.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the stormwater agreements for 17 and number 21 Ascot Drive in Shrewsbury Township.
Thank you, Cynthia. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Finally, G, trash waiver request, Hingham Road.
Yeah, we got a request, the property is vacant.
Yeah, I'll make the motion and grant the request.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence. Any correspondence?
Nothing other than-
I want to jump in at this point of our meeting. On January 4th, we'll have a new board taking office. And the important part of that meeting is to approve appointments, contracts, a whole host of things, benefits, salaries, and so forth. And we have listed on our agenda for tonight, an executive session to discuss that sort of matter. And I want to make a suggestion that the new board members, along with the board members that will be still in office next year, meet later on this month. And Todd, you prepare a tentative agenda regarding appointments and all that. And that we review that as a new board about to come into office. So when we come in here on January 4th, we've already been over it, and we can then bring it forward to the public and discuss it, and be more able to vote on it at that time.
I thought that's what we were doing tonight,
Right, but
and that they were also invited tonight.
if you looked at the volume of material that we have to digest, assimilate, I mean,
When are you planning on doing this?
sometime in the next
Well,
week.
you gotta set it up tonight before we cancel the nights.
All right?
Because you can't go on this shit where you're gonna have it on during the day, like you've done
No,
already in the past, because I'll work.
No,
Yeah, but people
no,
don't want to have a 3-hour executive session at 8 o'clock.
No,
It's not gonna be a 3
He's not
hour
saying
executive
that.
session.
okay. I agree that it's important that you be there, it's important that Bill
Well,
be
what
there.
I'm saying is what happened last
I know.
year was, it was met at your house and discussed all this without my presence. And I was seen and witnessed it when I sat here in this meeting.
I understand.
And that's what I'm saying, is that what you're leading up to doing
That's not
again?
right. And I said that the board that's gonna take office next year, that entire board, including you, should be at this meeting.
So this time you're inviting him. I don't know, since I've been on this board for 6 years,
It's been done this way.
it's been done this way every single time. So my question to you, Mr. Solomon, is once again, what are we trying to hide here? Why would you want these new board members just get and say your opinion and Jeff's opinion? I've been sitting here for 6 years and so has Sue Fox. So this board should give all of our opinions,
You're raising your voice.
absolutely, to the employee wage and salary benefits, also the contracts for code enforcer and our manager. So why would this new board just want to listen to two opinions? Why would, unfortunately, Bill Cox is not here, why wouldn't they want to listen to all of this? So why are we changing the game plan once again that suits
You know,
your agenda?
Thompson's my job.
No.
It's always your agenda, it was at your house last time, and you only invited certain board members. So what are we gonna do this time? What kind of rabbit are we gonna put out that hat this time for these
I
people?
just more or less apologize to Jeff, and I made the point right at the beginning that all the members that's going to serve on the board next year must be there.
As I was here right before I was put onto this board, I was a part of that meeting, Paul. We didn't wait till January, I was a part of that meeting.
I'm happy to listen to you, but don't yell at me, okay?
Once again, these
everybody
people should be
can,
part of it. We go to the executive session, which we're planning to do tonight, and these people,
You're yelling at me.
these people can be a part of this meeting.
If you don't quiet down, I'm not even going to listen to anything you say.
You don't have to. I'm putting it out there, though.
I think you're-
These people should be a part of it. They're new board members, so they should hear all of it.
I'm saying that they will be part of this 5-person meeting that takes place later on this
I don't
month.
think you can exclude two existing supervisors.
Correct, you cannot do that. And
Yes,
it's-
I can.
And that, no, you can't. We're still board members, and you cannot.
This meeting is an executive meeting for the board that's going to see this.
Correct, but as of still to the end of this month, I am still a board member.
That's right.
Thank you. So no, you cannot have me not there.
Attorney Buck, can this township hold an executive session sometime between now and the end of the year to discuss the future appointments and the other matters that pertain to next year only?
You can't exclude sitting supervisors, Mr. Chairman.
We can't.
No, you cannot. Thank you. So you didn't get to go fast one again, Mr. Solomon.
Well, let's postpone it to whatever date's convenient for everybody, so we have a little bit more time to decipher this.
We've had this for how long?
I was gonna say, this has been sitting for us, before us for how long now?
3 or 4
Every
days.
single year it's done the same way, Paul.
Listen,
What are you trying to do,
because-
Paul?
Because something's done one way,
This, I
That
have
besides, if I'm not
this,
mistaken,
this.
we're actually making decisions tonight.
Correct.
It's a discussion.
Correct.
This I have had for 3 days, okay? That's all I've had this. When I had to come up here and pick this up on Friday or Saturday, that's the first time I've had to look at this. So some of you others may have gotten it in your mailbox on Wednesday afternoon, but I've only had this for a few days to look it over, and there's a lot of stuff in here.
There's
There's a lot of
a lot of
insurance
material in
stuff, there's a lot of, all kinds of stuff in here.
And as I stated, it's not, we're not making decisions tonight, it's a discussion.
That's all it is.
but is the discussion leading to decisions? Right?
What's that supposed to be? It's a discussion to put everything out on the table, and then come January, that's when the decisions are gonna be made,
It's for everybody to sit down and
Correct.
view it together.
as a board.
Okay, but we don't have to do it tonight,
Why not?
because
It was already scheduled for tonight.
Correct.
I
Who
didn't
called
schedule it.
Who called the
I
executive
just-
session? The chairman did.
This is done every single year, the end of December, every single year. This is nothing new, Paul. You've been around for how many years? This has been the same way for what, 10, 20 years? Come on now. Come on now.
You know,
What are you trying to pull again, Paul?
Cynthia, we're giving you a wonderful stage up here, and you're taking full advantage of it, aren't you?
No, you're trying to do something behind the scenes as you're so well, you've done, and you're so well versed in this before in the past, and no, I'm not going to allow this. You can pull this behavior, and I'm not going to allow it, Paul. This is how this township's operated for all these years, so we stay with the agenda, exactly what this township has done. We don't go behind closed doors in your private home and have these little private meetings. We do it at an executive session, how this township has always done it. Period. Stop with your own personal agenda and do what's been done in this township for all these years.
You haven't convinced me yet. Keep on going.
No,
Don't you have
we're
any?
ready to go, I guess, adjourn for this executive session. You choose to be there, this has been put out there for all of us. These folks are more than welcome to join us and hear our opinions and what our ideas and suggestions are. And again, they'll be taking it in January to what they decide to do, but they need to hear it from this entire board.
So, you want to make a motion to have this meeting later on this month, everybody there?
Yeah, that's fine, I think we need more time. I haven't had time to read all this in detail and understand it.
And
So-
certainly,
So you got 4, 5, you got 6 of us here right now. You know how difficult that's gonna be for these 2 folks, along with all 4 of us, to be able to get together at one given time when you have everybody here right now?
And what's your availability?
It completely depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about a daytime thing or an evening?
Are you able to meet this evening?
Afternoon, evening,
one question at a time.
afternoon, evening,
Well, why set that up if they're...
little, like a week or so from now?
If I know, I'll see what I can do as far as my work schedule.
See, I know
I'm
she's
not
got-
scheduled to
She
be
works.
off
We all do.
time next week, but I have to see what I can work out.
Next week will not work for me. I'm having some surgery on Friday and will not be in the office next week.
But,
Well, this
would that-
probably wouldn't include you anyway, because I mean, it's a lot of personnel things.
That is correct. I mean, that's up to the
Yeah, I
board.
mean, that we haven't
I mean, I
included
always
personnel
participated and gave
He has always
input on
participated.
personnel,
Correct.
employee wages, and,
well, I suggested, just as a start.
and we have Keith's new contract this year.
Yeah, we have that in the back. We have a lot of things, we have
I haven't
contracts,
had a chance to.
and sit down tonight, and now, Todd, would you, whenever we meet, could you prepare a, like we do for our initial meeting in January, a list of all the appointments? And
I actually have that to hand out to you.
okay, that'd be helpful.
That's good.
My question again is to Ann and Nora. Are you not available to 8 o'clock this evening? I can't see this, I mean, in this general discussion, more than an hour. I mean, you're not getting into voting. Are you folks available this evening for our executive session is my
Let me ask you a
question. Excuse me, I just asked them a question. Ask them after they answer me, please. Thank you.
Well, you're so well mannered, go ahead.
Well, let me make a comment. As Todd knows, I've pretty thoroughly, I believe Ann has tried to review this information. We've had a number of questions, which Todd has promptly answered, but I did not know that we were scheduled to be at the meeting tonight until Todd mentioned just yesterday that that had been done in the past. So I had not planned to be completely through everything, and had asked Todd to be able to actually sit down and meet with him, which I think will be very helpful before going to a meeting to discuss a lot of these things. There are questions and time I'd like to spend with Todd ahead of that. And I think I've made that request already to you.
Yeah, just through email, yeah, I didn't have a chance to answer that.
So we've been back and forth a lot. There's a lot of information. I don't have a lot of the history that you all have sitting up there, so I got to go back a little further to ask for information. I have a lot of questions, thoughts about the benefits and the package, but I think I need a little bit more information. So I was not planning that we were going to be attending any session tonight.
So you didn't know about it until yesterday, that you were
Well, I
supposed
didn't
to
know
be
about
attending?
it. I didn't know that we would participate.
That's what I just, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
okay.
Paul mentioned that at one of the meetings there that asked for their
I don't think they-
participation. I recall you saying at the meeting that you wanted them to join in.
No, that was not, that's not so. I would have
Okay, well,
done
let's put a
that.
date out there that all, I guess 6 of us can agree to, that we can all make it. So let's make this date now then. So this way we're all in agreement, so there's no questions that one person can't make it or the other one person. So go ahead,
It's all
Paul.
wonderful, it is.
I think so.
And you work in Baltimore with Johns Hopkins, so, Jeff, you'd rather meet?
It's got to be evening.
Okay, we'll make
It
it.
cannot be anything but an evening.
Okay, we'll make it evening. And I want to say again, when I initiated this conversation, I said it's imperative that Jeff, I said all the members that are going to be serving next year will be there.
All members are to be there, Paul.
Okay, and then Attorney Bob said all members have the right to be there.
Correct.
Okay.
So
And,
evening works for me too.
Okay, well, it's going to be the evening, is there any particular weekday or weekend?
The weekend. weekends.
No weekends, I can't make weekends either.
Okay, well, let's do it on a weekend.
And
We'll do it on a weekday, week evening, excuse me, week evening. And any particular day on a week evening?
Are we looking at next week or?
yeah, probably
Well,
the week after.
Uh,
Not too close to
Within
Christmas.
the next- within
Not
the
next
next 2
week
weeks.
because Todd is absent.
The next 2 weeks.
Thursday the 10th or Friday the 11th. I could probably do Monday evening the 14th. Art and I have new township supervisor training on the 16th, so that's not possible. So one of
That would
those
be the 10th.
3 days might be best. I mean, potentially the 17th.
How about the 17th?
17th I can't. How about, I think you said the 14th?
Yes, that's Monday, not this coming Monday.
The following, the 14th works for me.
10th doesn't work.
That's
10th
Monday.
would work.
That's a Thursday.
I think the 14th, if everything else being equal, it gives a little bit more time.
Mhm.
Everybody okay on the 14th? And we're going to meet at the township, here in the township building.
What
What
time
time?
are we thinking?
Pardon me?
What time are we thinking?
7 o'clock? Is that all right?
No, earlier.
All right, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock's fine.
You guys all right with that?
And I'm very concerned about, I still don't understand the concept of having supervisors that aren't going to be in place next year, making decisions for those that are.
Nobody is making decisions.
It's for
It's a
input.
discussion.
It's
It's
for
for input, and it's for everybody's intent, but to explain to the new upcoming board members how it's worked, some of the do's and don'ts, some of the things that we've seen that we've liked and not liked. And we all speak as individuals, Paul. So if you're not making decisions, come January, these two folks, along with the three of you, will be making
The
decisions.
list of who's who.
We are leading to making decisions.
Well, that's fine. Now, January, as Attorney Buck said, all board members are welcome, period. There's no other discussion. Thank you.
You're secure,
Yes.
it's pretty straightforward as far as who can attend, who can attend, as far as existing or future or, if we call a meeting in December, executive session, all members of the current board and any future members have to be invited.
Mr. Chairman, you can't prohibit a
Okay.
seated supervisor
I
from
just-
meeting.
Okay, you made it clear. I just want to make sure that,
First time around, nice try.
okay, well, as it, here, I guess we should meet where, in the conference room or the planning commission room?
Yeah, I'll have the front door open. We'll meet in that front conference.
7 o'clock on the 14th.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No public comments.
Excuse me. Any public comments? All right, seeing no hands up, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.